The broadcast looped in silence. No commentary. No music. Just the raw, clinical footage, screaming, then nothing. A child's eyes open mid-autopsy. The surgeons, alien, blue-skinned, glass-masked, chatter in a melodic dialect. The camera pans up. A banner. Human Viability Trials, Session 27. Below it, a tagline in Gala Standard. Test Subject Earth Spawn. Kale Virek didn't blink. His breath didn't change. 36 seconds into the footage, a flash of movement, tiny arms, a twitch, and one of the aliens injects the stabilizer. Not to heal. Just to keep the specimen alive for further observation. The others cheer. His hand hovered above a black console panel, its lights dormant, symbols unreadable without the right code. He hadn't touched it in decades. The seals were still intact, lined with caution strips bearing his own signature. Locked by order, Virek K-12. Restricted. The footage stopped. Replayed. Looping. The ship around him, the requital, was silent, orbiting a dead moon in a forgotten system. No comms. No scans. No signals for 17 years. That was the point. Earth had died. The Omega Legion had scattered or self-deleted. And Kale, the last of them, stayed buried. Until today. He tapped the console. A hiss. A pulse. The vault opened. Inside, a singular cube. Pitch black. Hovering in stasis. Encased in null-gravity fields and coated with anti-eye damping runes. As old as Earth's last war. Lazarus, he muttered. The cube blinked. Kale Virek, it responded. It's been 37 years, 4 months, and a merciless eternity. You look terrible. I saw the footage. I assumed you would. Shall I ask what we're doing? You know what we're doing. A pause. Then the AI's voice dropped into its war tone, low and amused. Oh. Finally. Kale retrieved his gauntlet, still etched with Omega Legion sigils, now relics. The interface hissed to life as it rebounded to his nervous system. His pupils dilated as the HUD lit up. No error messages. No integrity failures. His body had waited, just like his mind. Coordinates, Kale said. A brief flash of stars. Lazarus displayed a system Kale didn't recognize. Then one he did. Mera 7. Red-listed. Contested. Unclaimed by council law. En route. Kale stood in the drop chamber. Lazarus chuckled. No backup. No authorization. No plan. Just you? Kale whispered. That's all Earth ever needed. 2 hours later, his pod broke through Mera 7's upper atmosphere. They'd hidden the lab beneath an irradiated crust field. Clever. Not clever enough. No landing lights. No welcome. He came down hard. Didn't bother to mask his entry vector. They'd see him coming. That was the point. Inside the base, sensors screamed. Unclassified mass detected. No known species. Electromagnetic feedback scrambled AI pathways. One technician barked at the others to load tranquilizers. It's a native! A rogue experiment! Kale dropped through the ceiling. Didn't wait for questions. His boot crushed the first guard's skull mid-sentence. 2 others turned, raising neural disruptors. Kale moved faster. A blade flicked from his gauntlet and caught the first one in the throat. The second dropped his weapon and ran. Mistake. Kale's shoulder-mounted rail spike burst through the runner's back with a metallic snap. A clean hole. Smoking. The body collapsed. Screams echoed. Doors locked. He advanced. Past cages. Past tanks. Past holding pens lined with children, quiet, sunken-eyed, too numb to cry. One lifted a hand weakly. Kale looked at her. Saw the missing fingers. Clean cuts. He said nothing. He entered the surgery wing. The doctors screamed. One threw a scalpel. Another raised a psi-blast, but Kale countered it with a flick of his wrist, the gauntlet dispersing the energy field. He didn't shoot them. Not at first. He made them look at the monitors, their own recordings. Made them watch what they had done. Then he started with the lead xenobiologist. Cut him open using the same tool that had cut the boy in the footage. "Do you know what this is?" he asked. The doctor cried, babbled in his language. Cale didn't wait for translation. He severed the vocal cords, then moved to the next. Lazarus chimed in his ear, almost casually. "Incoming Valkyrie dropship detected. 5 minutes out." "Perfect," Cale replied. He placed a broadcasting beacon on the wall. Activated it. The footage played again, on every Valkyrie comm channel. Then came Cale's voice. "I am Cale Vyrek, former commander of the Omega Legion. You filmed human children screaming. You cheered. You called it research. This is my reply." He let the feed run. He stood among the corpses of doctors and the twitching remains of guards covered in their fluids. Not heroic. Not noble. Just efficient. Just necessary. The Valkyrie strike team landed. 6 elite soldiers. Trained in psi-resistance, exocombat, and neural sync tactics. Cale gave them 12 seconds. 2 were dead before they saw him. Another tried to deploy a shield barrier. Cale shorted it using a sonic burst that overloaded the soldier's spine. The rest fell back, switching to full power suppression mode. Cale smiled. He liked it when they fought back. They hit him with a synchronized psi wave, meant to crush consciousness. Cale didn't flinch. "You tried that on children." He dropped an overcharged EMP grenade between them. The blast fried their neural links. Their screams echoed like static. He let one crawl. Grabbed him by the collar. "Broadcast this," he said, shoving a memory spike into the alien's eye. "Tell your masters Earth isn't extinct. It's just waking up." The alien stammered, trying to speak, but the spike began pulsing. Cale stood, stepped away, and let the overload detonate. The lab burned behind him. Lazarus spoke again. "That wasn't mercy." "No. That wasn't vengeance either." "No. So what was it?" Cale stared into the sunrise of Mara 7, breathing in sulfur and silence. "It was a reminder." He turned toward the stars. "And I've got more to give." The signal spread before the bodies cooled. Every major comm net in the Valkyrie Dominion pinged with corrupted data. No encryption could stop it. Screens flickered, not with threats, but footage. The same broadcast they had shown the galaxy, human prisoners carved up like lab samples, was now on loop. But over it played Cale Vyrek's voice. "This is Cale Vyrek. You studied us. You caged us. You called us extinct. I'm here to teach your memory pain." Panic ignited across their outer colonies. The Dominion wasn't prepared for war. Not with Earth. Not after centuries of silence. They had filed humans under legacy threat, an extinct class. They didn't even train their new troops with human war doctrines. They were about to regret that. Cale's next move wasn't loud. It was precise. The research moon Calvareth housed every major Valkyrie biolog in cryo-storage. Hundreds of terabytes of genetic data, including files on Terran physiology. They stored the data in synaptic cores, wetware grown from stolen Earth DNA. Cale didn't bomb the moon. He erased it. He used Lazarus to inject false runtime protocols into the cryo-maintenance AI. The system interpreted human cell clusters as biological viruses. The moon's own defenses sterilized the archives, eradicating every last human record. Medical, military, evolutionary, all gone. "You study corpses," Cale said into their emergency frequency. "Now bury your research." Their scientists screamed. Some tried to offload the files before the purge, but Cale had already looped in Lazarus with command keys stolen from the Mara 7 site. Every backup detonated as if it were wired to a heart monitor. The Council took notice. A closed session was called in orbit of Cephalon Prime. 12 species attended. 1 chair sat empty, Earth's seat, long declared a grave marker. But when the doors locked and the session began, Every monitor glitched. Words scrolled across them. Extinction was mercy. This is not. Some tried to dismiss it as a rogue human. A relic. A failed ghost. Then the asteroid hit. Not a meteor. A message. Kale had piloted a derelict Varkari mining rig and set it on a collision path with the Council's automated defense AI, a sentient fortress. The asteroid was layered with old Terran war hymns, encoded into the rock itself. It struck the AI's mind core like a cultural weapon. The fortress screamed for 14 hours before shutting down, overwhelmed by recursive emotional code it couldn't compute. The universe blinked. It had forgotten what made humans terrifying. It wasn't firepower. It was imagination. Kale hit another facility 2 days later. This time on Reagan 5, where Dominion leadership housed their elite, scientists, strategists, and their royal telepaths. The planet was shielded with psionic dampeners, layered with psychic mines. Kale didn't land. He dropped sound. He deployed a satellite array built from scavenged tech, then amplified archived Earth screams collected from centuries of human wars. Not fake recordings. Real ones. D-Day. Sarajevo. Verdun. Mars uprising. The sounds of humanity breaking, clawing, surviving. Every alien on Reagan 5 dropped into seizures. The telepaths died instantly, their minds unable to filter the emotional chaos. The Council deemed it a war crime. Kale laughed. You think that was war? That was history. The galaxy's attention turned from fear to obsession. Who was Kale Vyrek? Was he Earth's last survivor? A clone? A weapon? Some began calling him the Revenant. Others swore he was a myth. The Dominion ordered his capture. They sent Echelon 9, an elite squad bred from 20 species, each trained to counter human tactics. Kale let them find him on Reth Delta. He didn't run. He didn't hide. He sent them a calm. Bring a pen. You're about to take notes. The battle lasted 16 minutes. He never fired a bullet. Instead, he lured them into an ancient Terran museum, forgotten by most, orbiting a shattered moon. Inside were relics, old kinetic weapons, analog traps, and Earth's favorite tool, environmental sabotage. He sealed the doors, rerouted oxygen, and fed their suits a cocktail of stimulant and sedative gases. Their minds fractured before they even saw him. Only one made it out. Blind, shaking, bleeding from his ears. His only message: "We are not the apex." Lazarus offered Kale new targets. Kale declined. He wanted the capital. He wanted to show the Varkari that extinction was a privilege they no longer deserved. He set course for Varnak's Spire, their throne world. The journey would take 3 days. In that time, Kale did not sleep. He walked the halls of the requital, reliving memories sealed behind neural locks. He saw the burning of Mars. The fall of the last Terran citadel. The day Omega Command told him to stand down. He hadn't stood down. They just buried him where the screams couldn't reach. Until now. Lazarus broke the silence. They've moved children into bunkers. Is that guilt I sense? No, Kale answered. It's calculation. You're not going to destroy them? I'll do worse. He closed his eyes. Inside his mind, Earth still lived. Not as cities. Not as governments. But as memories of stubborn, vicious, furious survival. He wasn't alone. Not anymore. Every strike he made, every word he broadcast, awakened others. Across the stars, dormant Earth colonies stirred. Old soldiers, deep in cryo, stirred. Old ships, long without purpose, powered up. And a message went out, bouncing from Kale's beacon, laced in pulsewave code older than any council language. One phrase. Earth remembers. The first strike woke them. The second forced them to listen. But it was the third that made them afraid. Varkari Command called for a classified summit in orbit of Viesquin Prime. No public comms. No civilian media. Just 12 Dominion warlords and 3 surviving counselors from the Corps. The meeting began at 0400 hours Dominion Standard. It ended 7 minutes later when Kale Virek hijacked their security AI and projected himself into the chamber. He didn't threaten. He didn't yell. He said 3 words. You're next. Soon. The feed cut. Half the warlords evacuated their systems. The rest issued planetary lockdowns. Defensive grids that hadn't been activated in centuries flickered online. Lazarus intercepted the internal chatter. It was chaos. Command didn't believe Kale was alone. No single human could do this. It had to be a fleet. An old army. A hidden planet. Something. Kale didn't correct them. He just sent coordinates. One by one, planets were marked in red. Worlds that collaborated. Worlds that funded. Worlds that watched the war crimes and said nothing. Kale wasn't just punishing the guilty. He was making silence expensive. He targeted Drezerfor next, a logistics hub built into an orbital ring around a gas giant. No military value. But the Valkyrie nobles lived there, vacationed there. The elite. The untouchable. Kale dropped their station's orbit by 5%. Not with bombs. With math. He subtly adjusted the gravity anchors using their own maintenance bots. It took hours. Nobody noticed. Until it was too late. The entire ring buckled, drifting lower into the gas giant's atmosphere. 6,000 nobles died choking on superheated plasma. Kale's message broadcast moments after. Enjoy the gravity. It's the only thing pulling you together. Back aboard the Requital, Lazarus began pulling power from secondary systems. Old routines were waking, Earth's dead code, archived in black site protocols. Not just weapons. Memories. Human DNA strands, encrypted into music files. Language drift. Cultural burns. Terran culture weaponized into psychological warfare. Kale read a transmission from deep space. A private message. No sender. Just a phrase. Still alive? Waiting for the signal. He stared at it. Then deleted it. Not yet. He had unfinished work. His next move was unorthodox. No killing. No destruction. He infiltrated a Valkyrie children's school on a lunar academy. Not to harm, but to teach. When the security drones arrived, they found the classrooms untouched. But on every wall was a projection. Footage of Earth. Real footage. Birthdays. Laughter. Protests. Celebrations. Triumph. Defiance. Followed by the war crimes the Valkyrie had committed. Followed by Kale's voice. This is who we are. This is what you did. And this is what comes next. The children didn't scream. They asked questions. That terrified their instructors more than any weapon. Kale left them untouched. Let them remember. Let them question. The council's top psychic analysts convened. They concluded Kale was no longer human in the traditional sense. His brain had fused with too many AI cores. He no longer followed cause and effect. He was operating on symbolic warfare. Metatactics. Psychological asymmetry. Worse, he was doing it without flaw. The council declared him a galactic-level threat. One counselor disagreed. Ellen Drex, former admiral of Earth's unified defense grid. Exiled after the fall. She stood in front of the council's holographic chamber, arms crossed, her voice steady. You've already lost. The other counselors demanded answers. She didn't give any. She simply opened a data feed. It played Kale's first broadcast. Then his second. Then the massacre footage from Mara 7. Then she looked them in the eyes. I taught him, she said. You think he's angry? He's focused. And he's just getting started. Outside the chamber, her private guard waited. Human. Sleeper agents. Their eyes glowed with dormant Terran tech. Lazarus picked up the spike. Kale read it. Drex is still alive. Operating inside the council. He stared at the monitor. Face blank. I want a meeting. You're sure? She sold Earth's coordinates. Kale replied. Time to see if she remembers the price. 2 days later, the meeting was arranged. Location: a dead moon orbiting Arcanius Beta. No weapons. No escorts. Just Kale and Drex. Face to face. She arrived first. Clad in black, hair pulled back tight. Eyes sharp. Unapologetic. Kale stepped through the shadows. Neither spoke for a full minute. Then she broke the silence. You look worse than last time. You look guilty. I'm not. You should be. She didn't flinch. You think this ends in your favor? You're one man. I was trying to preserve what little we had left. I made a deal. You made a graveyard. I made peace. He stepped closer. Peace isn't carved from the bones of children. Her voice cracked, just slightly. You think I don't hear them every time I close my eyes? You shouldn't sleep so well. Is this revenge, Kale? No. Then what is it? He handed her a chip. It glowed with a symbol only old Earth soldiers would recognize. Resurrection. She stared at it. You're activating it. He nodded once. You think the galaxy can survive that? Kale's voice dropped to a whisper. It doesn't deserve to. He turned and walked away. Behind him, she crushed the chip in her hand. And smiled. Kale paused. You never left them, did you? No, she said. I just waited for someone who remembered how to fight. He boarded the requital. Lazarus waited. Well? She's back on our side. Trustworthy? No. Useful? Kale's smile was razor thin. She knows where the bodies are buried. Literally? And figuratively. Shall we begin? Open the black frequencies. Message? Kale's voice echoed through the stars. To all surviving Terran cells. Protocol Revenant is active. Ghosts wake up. The black frequencies pulsed like a heartbeat. Across forgotten moons, deep sleep cryochambers cracked. Ships long fused to asteroid walls stirred. Digital graves twitched back to life. Kale didn't need to see them rise. He felt it. The hum in his bones. The call of something buried but never broken. Lazarus parsed the traffic in silence, streaming activation pings from Terran ghost fleets, pingbacks only a Vanguard commander could verify. Kale read the codes aloud, one after another. Revenant 12. Status, awake. Judgment Core, awake. Hollow Sun, functioning. Red Arc? Confirmed. Lazarus didn't speak for 6 seconds. A long silence for an AI. Then, in a whisper, that was supposed to be decommissioned. They lied. They always did. Kale clenched his jaw. Send the final target list. I want clean prioritization. No hesitation. No error. On screen, 10 locations blinked red. Each one a pillar of Valkyrie power. Biofoundries. Sci-forges. Genetic sanctuaries. Command councils. Kale's next hit was personal. They called it the Maw. It was where they bred hybrid soldiers, flesh forged from Terran DNA and Dominion enhancements. The Council had used Earth's war dead to clone its elite troops. Bones of the fallen. Eyes from infants. Voices stolen from the last Terran Chrysingers. They didn't just kill humans. They rewrote them. Kale didn't land with shock troops. He didn't drop fire from orbit. He walked in through the front door. Security systems scanned him and glitched. Code from a dead civilization should have triggered nothing. But Kale wasn't dead. He was classified as null protocol, a designation so restricted it confused their sensors. He made it to the central chamber before the alarms caught up. A dozen guards raised weapons. None fired. He lifted a detonator and crushed it. The lights died. Every console screamed. The cryopods lining the walls, thousands, began to open. Slowly. Gently. Kale didn't look at them. He faced the command staff. One tried to run. Kale's voice cut across the room. Do you know what it's like to hear your own language spoken by monsters? They froze. The humans you made here, he said, aren't yours anymore. The hybrids woke disoriented. Some hissed, others cried. Some dropped to their knees, clawing at their faces as memories, real and artificial, clashed in their minds. Kale walked among them. A hybrid reached for his neck. Kale didn't flinch. The claws stopped inches from his throat. "I am your ancestor," he said. "Not by blood. By pain." The hybrid twitched. Blinked. Lowered his arm. Kale turned to the others. "You were built to hunt humans. You failed before you began. Because you are us. You just forgot." He dropped his weapons. "I didn't come to kill you. I came to wake you up." Half collapsed. A few howled. One stepped forward. Her voice trembled. "What are we?" Kale looked her in the eye. "You're what happens when they try to replace a species that refuses to die." Behind him, the command staff opened fire. Kale dove behind the podium as lasers burned across the chamber. But the hybrids didn't flee. They turned. And for the first time, the mall was filled with screams not from prisoners, but from its architects. Kale didn't need to give orders. He just watched them remember. By nightfall, the mall was ashes. Outside, Kale stood with the surviving hybrids. The woman from before, now calm, approached. "Do we fight for Earth now?" "No," Kale said. "We fight for what Earth meant." "And what did it mean?" He looked to the stars. "Defiance." Lazarus buzzed. "Incoming signal. Valkyrie emergency broadcast. Encrypted. Decrypt." A voice Kale knew echoed through the ship. "Ellen Drex. The Council has moved. They've declared a Galaxy-class kill order. You are to be terminated with absolute prejudice. They've activated the Leviathan contingency." Kale narrowed his eyes. "That's not protocol. That's myth." Lazarus replied grimly. "Not anymore." Drex's voice returned. "They're deploying the Singularity Lords." Kale felt his gut twist. "That's impossible. That project was vaporized." "So were you," she answered. Lazarus whispered. "The Lords were bred to kill Terran War Command. Pattern hunters. Cognitive mirrors." Kale locked eyes with the hybrid woman. "Get your people underground. They're not ready for this." "And you are?" "I don't need to be. I just need them to try." He turned to Lazarus. "Location?" A star chart bloomed. "They've gathered above Ether Gate. They expect you to run." Kale's voice was ice. "Plot a course. We don't run. We drag them into the dirt with us." The hybrids watched him board the requital. No applause. No cheers. Only silence. The kind of silence before a storm. Lazarus interfaced with the helm. "Multiple signatures inbound." "How many?" "Enough to write a new chapter." Kale cracked his neck. "Good. Let's give them something to remember." The ship buckled as the first wave of plasma tore through the outer hull. Shields held for now. Lazarus adjusted polarity, voice sharp. "They brought 3 Singularity-class warforms. Each the size of a Terran dreadnought. Energy patterns consistent with Neo-prediction warfare. They're not aiming to destroy you. They're aiming to erase the concept of you." Kale tightened the gauntlet. "Let them try." Ether Gate loomed ahead, a maelstrom of gravitational distortions wrapped around a dead star. The perfect killing ground. No witnesses. No escape. Kale had chosen it for a reason. Predictive AIs relied on probabilities. Kale didn't. He relied on intent. "Deploy the decoy frames," he ordered. Lazarus pulsed. Across the field, spectral projections of the requital burst into view, identical signatures, bleeding false heat, false motion, false Kales. The Lords took the bait. One fired an antimatter lance. The decoy flared, vanished. The second engaged its chrono-scrambler, folding time around its form. Kale didn't flinch. "They're analyzing," Lazarus warned. "Every movement. Every decision. You'll have 10 seconds before they converge." Kale moved before the sentence ended. Manual override. No AI assist. Pure instinct. He disengaged the helm and kicked the pod open, launching himself into zero-G void with a single command. Open the casket. The war casket unsealed in orbit. A relic from Earth's last stand. Marked only with the symbol of the Omega Legion. Inside, the armor he'd worn at Terra's fall. Reforged. Radiation blackened. Purpose-built for one last act. Kale collided with the suit mid-flight. Magnetic locks snapped into place. Oxygen hissed. System synced. Vitals dropping, Lazarus warned. Good, Kale said. Let them think I'm dying. The Lords closed in. 3. Each more terrifying than the last, organic machine titans with tendrils of thought stretching between them. One spoke. Not aloud. Straight into Kale's skull. You are a failure. We are the evolution of your error. Kale responded with bullets. He didn't aim to kill. He aimed to confuse. Each round carried a different fragment of Earth's history, compressed emotional data designed to overload their pattern recognition. Vietnam. Chernobyl. Auschwitz. Every mistake. Every horror. The First Lord hesitated. That was enough. Kale used the moment to fire a temporal rupture mine, distorting space just long enough to close the gap. He landed on its spine, drove a plasma blade into the cortex port, and dumped the worst memories of Earth's genocides into its processor. The Lord screamed. Didn't like that? Kale growled. We didn't either. It imploded. Not physically, mentally. Neural collapse. A death without flame. The other two retaliated. One deployed a field of forced empathy, Kale's own memories projected back at him. Childhood. War. Earth burning. Friends dying. He leaned into it. You're not breaking me, he whispered. You're just showing me why I don't stop. He overrode the suit's safeties and ejected his neuro buffer. Pain flooded in. Every scar. Every scream. He used it as fuel. The Second Lord moved fast, using fractal displacement to appear in 5 places at once. Kale ignored all 5, targeted the one that blinked. He fired a spike round. The Lord intercepted it, but it wasn't a bullet. It was Lazarus. Transferred mid-shot, the AI ripped through its system like a virus made of fury. It detonated from within. One left. The last Singularity Lord hovered. Silent. Unshaken. Kale breathed, blood leaking from his nose. The Lord's voice returned. You're alone. We have calculated 9,041 outcomes. You lose in all of them. Kale smiled. Then this is the 10th. He activated the Omega failsafe. A pulse erupted. Across the galaxy, every Terran remnant answered. Old warships decloaked. Lost colonies surged online. Hybrids marched under reclaimed banners. Kale's armor lit with a glow that hadn't been seen in centuries. Omega Protocol, Phase Final. You wanted the last human, he said. But we're a virus. One human is never alone. The Lord tried to flee. Too late. Kale rammed into it, blade flashing. Steel against quantum bone. The Lord countered, slashing open his side. Kale didn't stop. He drove the blade deeper. End function, it demanded. Kale pressed closer. Humanity doesn't end. We evolve through rage. He stabbed into its core. The sky broke. The explosion swallowed them both. Silence. Then static. Then Lazarus. Vitals critical. Neural link failing. Memory upload incomplete. Kale drifted, vision blurring. He felt cold. Then warmth. A face. Not his. The hybrid woman. Her eyes full of fire. We heard the signal, she said. Kale tried to speak. Failed. She smiled. You lit the match. We'll carry the flame. Darkness took him. Somewhere in the void, Earth sang. And the galaxy listened,